So first of all, this is kind of a strange year all around. How much of your coaching job has been affected by this? How difficult is it being a coach right now during these strange, unseen circumstances?
Well, I would say it's been totally affected. I mean, for us, we're basically limited to, having Zoom meetings to teach these kids, plays that we want to have, that we want to implement this season. We can't get them we're not allowed on the court. And, as you guys are well aware, basketball requires, the coordination of all five people doing, working together, whether it's offensively, defensively. So Zoom is the only way to do it right now. And, it is affecting us tremendously.
Would you say this is going to be your most difficult season as far as trying to implement what you want to and get your message across?
It's going to be a challenge for sure. I mean, it's going to be the biggest challenge so far. Hopefully, we've had one meeting. We've given them the playbook. Hopefully, we are, we're not trying to make it difficult for them. They're all smart kids. Hopefully, we can lay it out. Now, applying that to the court's a different, an altogether different beast. So, we're going to do our best. Yeah, it's going to be a big hurdle.
How were things looking, Coach, before the shutdown, this most recent shutdown? As far as the time you were able to get in the gym, how were things looking? And in your opinion, how were things progressing?
I thought they were progressing well. We had good numbers in terms of turnout. We had a couple new girls banged up, but we have 18 kids, and we were getting a good turnout, and they were playing hard, and we would do a lot of skill work. And we let them scrimmage for last 20 minutes or so. So they were battling hard when they were scrimmaging, and they were working. We started to show some offensive work that we wanted to introduce, and fortunately, the incoming ninth grade was exposed to the offense that we want to run when they were in junior high. So hopefully it's not new hat for
them. Coach, obviously you have some firepower returning, but you also lost 2,000-point scorers, the Clark twins, a lot of firepower in that respect as well. Talk about how you guys are planning on replacing those departed seniors from last year and some of those names and pieces that will be filling those roles.
Well, they're going to be difficult to replace. I mean, Sydney and the twins are going to be, difficult to replace. They started for 4 years. Fortunately, we have some athletes that we think that can step up and contribute and probably contribute more this year. Whereas when they were playing with those seniors that graduated, they wouldn't have contributed as much because those girls were doing most of the legwork. Not to say they couldn't have done it last year, but, as seniors, they were taking control of the game. So I think athletically, we're in a position to, to play fairly well. The key, in my opinion, because you had three girls that played a lot together, the key is going to be making sure that all five players come to play with the energy and the passion and play as good teammates. We're not looking for one girl to just shoulder the load. We need contributions from everybody who's on the court, and that requires everybody to play together as a group.
We just kind of talked about last year's team compared to this year's team. In that same respect, or that same vein, Coach, discuss the section last year maybe compared to how you saw it stacking up this year.
Well, last year, I mean, obviously we were in with North, and that was difficult. We battled them as best we could in three separate occasions, and we hung in there. I think we could have won the PIA playoff game, but just didn't happen for us in the second half. So you know, I think, as far as a stronger team, that team's gone. Indiana's gone. I think if Indiana was still in our section, I think they would create some problems because of their height.
Right.
They've got some players that are coming back. I think the section as a whole, I don't know much about Derry, but I think there's a lot of teams that are on par with each other. And again, I think it's just going to be how you play together as a group.
You talk about some of those names changing within section, and being in the Whippeal, that's become commonplace, I assume, for you, having to realize that those names are not going to stay the same too long in section. How difficult is that task? Because you're a well-prepared coach, for you to have to identify those teams quickly that are in your section now, and also start scouting them and understanding them as well as you did the teams that are now exiting the section.
Well, I mean, preparation, regardless of what you do in life, is the name of the game, whether it's sports, practice, your work, how you conduct yourself. So, fortunately, I'm familiar with most of the teams in our section. Even though I may not have played Valley last year or played Derry last year, I kept my eye on who's doing what. I don't think it'll be a difficult task to get up to speed, to scout those teams and to prepare our teams to be ready to face them. So I'm not that's the least of my worries. My primary goal is getting players on the court to gel as a group. That's my main concern at this point.
Yeah, and you mentioned right now the only way and the only means you have of helping these kids gel together is through Zoom meetings. So talk about how you can sort of encourage that. Obviously, everyone has to stay socially distanced and away from each other just to kind of stop any kind of spread. But ultimately, how do you kind of encourage that kind of camaraderie and that coming together with the means you have right now?
Well, that's difficult. I mean, the only way to do it is to keep a positive message, stay in contact with them. The Zoom, in follow up to the Zoom meetings, the nice thing about technology is with Huddle, you can put clips together and you can send them those clips to mirror what we did or to duplicate what we did in our Zoom meeting. In Zoom meetings, I can show them drawings, but the video clips actually show the plays. So absent that, I mean, I wish I knew. I wish I knew a better way to do it.
Yeah, I think there's really only one way. All of that in mind, how much more technologically savvy have you had to become trying to relay these messages through such a medium as the internet and these Zoom meetings and trying to maybe pass down drills through something like this?
Well, I mean, I went out. I mean, I have an iPad. I have a Mac. I went out and got an Apple Pencil, and my daughter showed me how to connect my iPad to the Zoom meeting, and so I can get I have a core template. I have multiple core templates in my iPad documents, and the Apple Pencil allows me to draw while the meeting's going on. I overload right now.
I'm sure you'll be happy when this time has passed and you can go back to doing it a way that you're more familiar with, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge. It really is.
Now, you mentioned one thing earlier about this team upcoming. One of the identifiable traits is their athleticism. Is that one of the ways that, or maybe the biggest way you would define this team right now? And if not, what are some other adjectives that might describe this team to more
I've
depth?
always liked to describe all my teams as being athletic because, that's what they are. They're athletes, and then we're trying to mold them into basketball players. And they have to understand, a school like ours, we have multiple, sport athletes, and they have to realize that they're switching gears now. And if you're a soccer player, you may only cover, you may only be a defensive player, or if you're a volleyball player, you may only be a setter. But in basketball, you've got to do it all. You've got to play both ends. You're not just saying, well, I'm taking this half of the court and I'm staying on this half of the court. You've got to be able to do everything. And so that's where their athleticism comes into play, and getting them to switch gears to become basketball players and to focus on the whole court. And again, that's the challenge right now.
Coach, you have a little bit of time for some rapid fire questions.
Yeah, I got about 8 minutes before my I got about 13 minutes before my Zoom meeting.
All right, perfect. Favorite college/pro players of all time?
Oh, wow. Michael Jordan, Magic. Who else? I was I was a Charles Smith fan. I like Charles Smith at Pitt.
All right.
College teams. I like Carolina. I like Duke. I loved the Big East back in the day when they would play at Madison Square Garden.
When it was still the Big East.
When it was still the Big East, yeah.
Coach, what jersey number did you wear in your playing days, and is there a reason why you picked that number?
So back in my day, we had a home jersey number and we had an away jersey number. So it wasn't always the same. So
you're dating yourself right now. You know that.
I know. I was 22 and 23, and 20. That was before Jordan, so it was not any correlation. I don't even know why the number came about. So I couldn't tell you why I picked those numbers.
No nostalgia there, apparently, for the number choice. What's a hobby of yours outside of coaching that people might be surprised that you participate in?
Well, when I get time, I like to fish. This past Saturday, I left at 5 a.m. and I went to Erie and I stood in cold water up to my chest fishing for steelhead for about 4 hours. So, that's outside of basketball and work and my family. That's I like to read. I like James Patterson. So I read quite a bit too on my Kindle.
I can get down on the fishing side of it. I do enough reading as it is, so I don't make too much time for myself outside of the things I have to read.
Right.
What last question for you, Coach? What's the best part about being a coach at Freeport?
I've always told my kids when we have our banquet, the best part is developing the relationship with the kids. It's not about basketball is basketball. There's much more to life than basketball. Sports teaches lessons, but it's the relationships that you develop with your players. I mean, I've always, I still communicate with my basketball coach, Jack Schmidt, from time to time at Riverview when I see him. It's always nice to see him. I played for Chuck Wagner. It was always nice to see him when I would see him. But it's developing those relationships so that when those players down the road need a recommendation for something, whether it's a job, whether they need help, they have someone they can call. And to me, that's what it's about. Not who scores and I couldn't tell you what my won-loss record is. I don't really care what it is. And when I'm done, I don't think I'll care about what it is. It's about the time you spent with these kids.
Well, I hope everybody has that same sort of outlook on the job. Sometimes I think people can get very focused on wins and losses and banners and things of the sort, but I hope a lot of people share your sentiment on what it is to be a coach, Coach.
Yeah, I don't want to be defined. I don't want my legacy to be defined by titles or banners or anything like that. It's what I did for these kids, what we did for the program. That's what it's all about.
Well said, Coach. Let's do this again real soon. I'll catch you in between maybe Zoom calls next time. But thank you for making the time, Fred, as always. Thanks. Appreciate you. Can't wait to see you in person. Hopefully we don't have to do this Zoom/Skype stuff too much longer, and we can see each other on the hardwood.
Sounds good. Be safe, fellas.
You too, Coach. Take care.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.